Oh man, it's been a while since I've heard that
Where am
intro.
I?
It's good to be back, and a heartfelt, very heartfelt apology for everybody for being gone so long. It's just Jordan and I and Jason have all had random things going on. We haven't been able to make a great time work, so hopefully coming up again in the next months and weeks and so on, we'll be back on a more regular schedule. We'll see. But hey, welcome to episode 93, coming up on 100 still in 2023 here, hopefully. So very cool. With us is Jordan is here, our co-host for those listening in the podcast later on. And then we also have Brandon and Tim, who are a part of Keepers and our fellow Lager Boys. Kind of a Michigan subsection of lager brewers that anybody can join.
It's growing.
Let us know. Yeah. So we're going to talk about something really cool that we did a couple weeks ago. What was that, Tim?
Oh, we took the BJCP tasting exam.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Crushed it.
I took it, Brandon took it, Tim took it, and Jordan will be taking it. Speaking of Jordan, and maybe we'll get this later on in the episode too, but there's another tasting exam coming up near the end of the year in GR maybe. So
perfect.
Yeah, good for you. Could be a good opportunity for you too. So
there's one in July in Indianapolis too.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
July's right out. That's
the
due date.
Oh, you're right.
I chance it.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody that's watching in chat right now. Let us know what you're drinking. And speaking of, Jordan, what do you got?
Something super rare that we never see on here. Nice little hams from the land of sky blue waters. I had a few this weekend. My father-in-law had some at his house, and I hadn't had it for a while. Wow. I had a few, and I'm like, you know what? It's time. The weather's getting nice. It's time.
Was he a natural hams drinker, or is he a convert?
He's a convert, and I'm so excited.
What about you, Tim? What you got?
I'm drinking an homebrewed IPA with Amarillo, Citra, Mosaic. I used 3470 yeast, so I guess technically it's an IPL.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I love that yeast.
That's almost like the hop. Hop array that we just used in our recent one.
Just not Simcoe.
Gail's here. Hey, Gail. Gail was part of our tasting exam a couple weekends ago. Okay. She says there'll be a tasting in February, March 245. March 24th too. Okay. Awesome. So that's good to know. Yeah. That's we haven't had a whole lot of these in Michigan in the last, I think they were saying 7-8 years, and coming up here we're going to have 3 in roughly 1 year or so. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Some new judges.
Yeah, there's going to be a whole lot of fresh blood, which we need, especially in Michigan, the whole Midwest, I think. Sandy's starved for judges in the Indiana Beer Cup. I think that's what it's called right now. They're paying, if you're from out of state, I think they're paying $100 to go down there and judge, as long as you judge 2 or more sessions. Yeah. So that's a great opportunity if you guys want some judging points and experience, or even stewarding experience. Go rock that out. We still haven't talked about whether we're going to do that or not. I'm not sure how the timing is going to look, but we'll definitely look into that. What do you got, Brandon, drink wise?
Drinking it's a light lager. It's got a lager, but I actually thought it was ruined. It's a homebrew. I thought it was ruined, but it just had so much sulfur on it at first that it's just sitting outside of my keezer for about a month. And then I just taste tested it to see if I was going to dump it. I was like, oh, there's no sulfur on it anymore.
Pretty tasty beer.
Below my perceptible levels anyway. So
yeah.
I better throw that in the keezer and give it a try. So not too bad.
Fantastic.
Bring that to Keepers this next week.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
I shall.
Tim, speaking of our beer, our IPA. I don't know how that looks compared to like your color. Or anything,
that is cloudy.
I'll get one, after this one's gone, I'll go down to my basement and get a pint too.
Awesome. Yeah, it turned out good. I still think it needs a little bit more carbonation. I had Shayna try some before we started the show, and that was kind of her thought. And she's infecting my mind with that a little bit. I was drinking it downstairs, and I was kind of like, yeah, I can be down with this. But the more I taste it, the more I come back to my carbonation whore roots.
I was going to say, I don't think you need
I need more.
need help
always.
with the carb whoring.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's everybody in chat drinking? Gail, what are you drinking tonight? Are you drinking tonight? Do you need a day off? I know it's Monday. We always come into these after like a long weekend and end up drinking 4 beers on the show or something. But so let's talk about this weekend.
Hey, really quickly before we talk about this weekend.
Yeah.
I can hear my wife and daughter totally watching Pocahontas upstairs. Are you guys picking that up at all?
Nope.
No, you're good.
It's
You're
real
good.
loud. Okay.
Yeah, nope. Whatever you got going on is fine.
Oh no, sorry, it's Little Mermaid.
Oh. Were you just corrected? Because we couldn't hear that either.
No, because I heard the theme.
No.
Michigan Brewers movie night. That's
all right. Sorry about that. Continue.
yeah.
No worries. No, we're good, man. We're good. So first, thank you, Tim, for driving this weekend. I could not have done it without you. I don't know. I don't want to like hog the beginning of the show, but like I guess maybe we start there. Like I probably had a couple extra beers that I shouldn't have had like Friday night, and I woke up with like a kind of a hangover. But normally it's like whatever. Like I pop a couple pills and eat a McDonald's sandwich and it's fine. But I had stomach issues all day. I was laying down in the car on the drive up. Still took the tasting exam. Still think I did okay. But yeah, I ended up like throwing up in the bathroom there after the exam was over. Not because of the beer. It's just I think I had a stomach bug. I came back and I was out for the rest of Saturday and Sunday. So I hope nobody else got sick. I wouldn't have came if I knew I was sick. You guys are fine. Shayna's fine. So maybe it was something I ate. I don't know. But hopefully it didn't screw with my scores too much.
That's a trooper though, man. That's a good job.
My the very last beer, we'll talk about all the beers and stuff in a sec, was a Baltic Porter. And the only thing that I can really remember screwing up was taking I had like an extra 2 minutes before the 90 minutes was up. And we'll talk about like the format of the exam too, but I scribbled down some extra notes from this Baltic Porter at the very end of the judging session while I still had some extra time, wrote them on the wrong score sheet. So somebody's Kolsch has notes of toffee in the aroma. So hopefully that won't knock me down too much. Yeah.
There were 2 moments during the exam where I saw Brian take a sip of the beer and go like and set it down and then start writing like what a fucking trooper.
I got my sheets back and they look okay. I got lots of notes in the margins and lots of descriptors and lots of good, I think, objective feedback in the overall section. So we'll see. But Brandon, want to talk about maybe like how the exam is like formatted, kind of like how it started off when we got there?
Oh dang! All right. Yeah.
I know. I didn't know I was going to put you to work.
I know. Now I gotta think here. Let's see. We got there and just kind of figure out where you're gonna sit because it was just it's a big. It's a tap room. We ended up being at Dearborn Brewing. Sorry if I screwed that up, their exact name, but just got set up and it's just if anyone's ever done like a tasting exam, whether you're certified or not, it's just kind of like that, getting set up, but you're not paired up so much as you're sitting by yourself or not talking to somebody near you if you are near someone. So just a setup with your beer sheets. I know like they had it set up where they just brought out a sample and then you had 15 minutes to judge, and it's more or less if you're familiar with the BJCP score sheet, it's the same thing except the descriptors for the check boxes on the left hand side for those flavors. They're not all off flavors, but flavors of no descriptions, just the check boxes. So you got a little extra space too if you need it. Then the way it was set up is after 10 minutes, you had 15 minutes to judge each sample, but after 10 minutes, we got a notice that we had, I think, 5 minutes, and then again another one, and when there was 2 minutes left, and then they were starting to bring the next sample out when there was 2 minutes left, so that you could transition as soon as the 15 minutes was up, you could start on the next sample. And hopefully that's what you wanted to know.
Yeah. I didn't know this until we got there. But the beers don't go away. It's not like you have 15 minutes and they take the beer away and take your sheet and you're done. You have 90 minutes to do 6 score sheets for 6 different beers, sort of however you want to do it. You just got to make sure that you get it done. And so if you need like an extra minute on beer number 2 and you finish beer number 3 a couple minutes early, like it all kind of works itself out with the math. And if you want to go back and reference, another beer later on in the tasting, it's sitting there for you. You can do that. Unless you're Tim, who like chugged every single one of his beers. He didn't have anything left.
What I do.
Rock it out.
So before we get too far into it, like Jordan, is there anything specifically that you want to know so far that we didn't hit? You're gonna be doing this next.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, no, not really. I mean, I guess, thinking the way Brandon, I said not really, and now, my brain juices are going. But Brandon mentioned, like, you guys, there's 15 minutes per beer and whatnot. I'm definitely a person who is like, is there any sort of like gap at the end where like you can go back through each one of them, or is it just like it's up to you to utilize that time? But if like, I don't know, if you're seeing it like 15 minutes a time, there's not really anything at the end to go back and revisit. Because I don't know, for me, it's like I want to be able to see a whole picture of the spread.
Yeah.
Before I can actually, finalize my judging, if you will.
This one's a little different though, because like, if you were judging at a table, you'd be drinking like 7 or 8 of the same stylish beers, right?
Right.
These were all over the place. And actually, I want to say Tom did a really nice job of not screwing us over. Like,
yeah, we didn't have a single dosed beer.
They were none of them were dosed. It was, the styles were all pretty common. Kolsch, Belgian, was it Belgian blonde?
Yes.
Yep.
There was a Maibach, there was a Baltic Porter, American IPA, and then I'm blanking on the last one.
Dark mild.
So they're all styles that are like, none of them are crazy hard to find. They're
Australian
all
sparkling ale.
Exactly. Who's got freaking Pride of Ringworm to brew that? I was just looking at the style. Ringwood, sorry.
I don't want no ringworm.
Yeah, ringworm. That's something different.
None of the beers were dosed heavily, and actually that kind of screwed me up because everything I read was like, oh, one of the beers is going to be dosed. So we got a beer that tasted kind of oxidized to me, so I went freaking all in on that. And then we got to talk about the 3 folks who were judging along with us. We didn't even talk about that. But they did not agree with me on that one so much. So.
So we were lucky enough to have Gail, who's watching the show right now, or was. Sandy, is it Cockram or Cockram?
It's Cockerham, I think.
Okay. I can never remember exactly how to pronounce her name. So Sandy is at least a grandmaster of like 6, I think. Gail is
Jesus.
It goes on forever, I think. Gail is at least 2. Gail, you'll have to correct me. I can't remember. And then the third judge was also a grandmaster. His name was Mark. Am I blanking?
Yeah, Gail's a 9.
Gail's a 9? Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
For some reason, I was thinking, I don't know why I thought you were. I feel like I got corrected on that before. I was like, oh yeah. Oh, Sandy's a 9.
Oh.
You know why I thought Sandy was a 6 is because I read an article that she was in that got reposted somewhere from like 3 years ago. And I think she was like a 6 at the time. So she's like, Gail's a 2. Okay. Yeah.
Who's the third judge, Gail?
Yeah. Thank you. But we had a panel of 3 Grandmaster judges that were judging alongside of us, and they are going to be the essentially benchmark for kind of our scores. And how
Michael Winnie.
Michael Winnie. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, Michael, if you happen to watch this later, our apologies, but thank you very much for being there. Michael Winnie's Grandmaster 1, yeah. Which in itself is like a huge accomplishment. I think that I saw somebody post the other day about somebody getting their master promotion, and there's only been like 250 something master judges in America, and
Wow.
Grandmaster is like beyond that, like twice as much, plus the extra like work that you have to do for the rank. Like it's pretty crazy. So yeah, yeah, Gail says we had 3 GM, super rare, no doubt. And then also, big thanks to Tom Wilk who put it on. So can't forget Tom, who is national level, I believe. And Tom's just a really good guy. Yeah, super organized. This was a really, really great exam. But I don't remember where we were. I'm very sorry.
Huh? Dearborn Brewing Company?
Oh no, like in a conversation.
Oh. we were talking about the just the fact that our score sheets were going to be compared to what the consensus of the Grandmasters was, and as long as we're not too crazy.
So we got to judge these beers, and then we got to let the judges, they got to talk to us, or we got to listen to them explain like their thoughts on the beers afterwards, which was a really nice follow-up. So maybe we can talk about some of the beers. The very first one, was that the Belgian Blonde?
No, it was a Kolsch.
It was a Kolsch. That's right. Okay.
I got my sheets up.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Tom emailed us our sheets, so we can probably talk about that even. I don't think and remember our beer. I think it's fine for us to talk about these, right?
Yeah, he's not going to have the exact same beers no matter what, even if he had the exact same styles. So.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't think we should show the sheets on.
No.
Yeah, that'll agree.
Yep, Kolsch was one brewed by one of the mashers, right? I believe, because he was looking for a homebrew one, or maybe someone from KBG.
Yeah, quite a few of these were homebrew beers that came from various places. It was, and Jordan, feel free to interrupt at any time. Like, I know you weren't there, so
yeah. No, I mean, I'm kind of in the audience at this point. I just have I have a mic here, so.
I thought it was a really good Kolsch, if memory serves. I'm pretty sure I was in the high 30s on it. I don't remember what the judge consensus was on it, but I think it was around too.
They knocked it down a little bit. I remember I thought it was a little too bitter for a Kolsch, but I liked it. Like I would have chugged it. Oh yeah, Gail. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, Gail says we were scoring pretty differently in 3 of the beers as proctors, and she says, it happens and it's okay. And that's been my experience judging too. I've only judged maybe like 6 competitions now. But the first couple beers for sure, when you're judging with a partner, you sort of find the middle ground where you and your partner are at. Like maybe you have different sensitivities to sweetness or different preferences for carbonation, and those tend to make the scores shift a little bit. You'll kind of find that common ground. But the 3 proctors, if that's the right term, as proctors, weren't judging as like a triplet. They were judging individually, and then kind of all compare their scores afterwards to reach a consensus. So a little bit different, and yeah, that is okay.
And you don't get, and it's important to note you don't get notes, things like that. It's all from your brain.
Mhm.
And when you're judging, you get to look at whatever notes you got there or whatever style guidelines you want. So it makes actual judging much more easy to have a lot more things to reference as well when you're doing that.
Kolsch is the one that I wrote my extra notes from the Baltic Porter on about the aroma and the taste. So
That's awesome.
hopefully whoever our grader is doesn't knock me too hard for that. Then the second one was
The
that
Maybach.
the Belgian or was that the my
I
wasn't
think
the Maybach?
the Hellesbach was next.
Again, pretty good beer. A lot of these beers weren't clear, which was like kind of throwing me off a little bit. Like, you expect the Kolsch to, be kind of really clear, the Hellesbach to be really clear.
Yeah, they're both pretty hazy.
Yeah. And some of that was throwing me off a little bit. It's like, okay, is this like a different style? Is this just like a weird example? Has it been dosed with something that made the color change a little bit? So you kind of have to stay out of your head for that stuff and just judge the beer for as it is and not be like, oh, like they're trying to trick me, blah, blah, blah. Like
that was there were two beers where I was way off of the consensus, but then one of the three judges agreed with me. So the Maybach was one of them. I thought it was like the yeast was just not, it was so unclean that the rest of the beer was just boring. And if it had a cleaner yeast profile, it would have really came out. And I remember one of the three proctors was like kind of talking about that, how it seemed like it was just kind of like not Maybach enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it wasn't a bad beer. It was just a really boring beer.
Yeah, exactly. And that was Tom's beer too. So so I felt a little bad like giving him feedback right there. But for him, it's got to be cool to see 17 score sheets on your beer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before we move on to Joe's in here too. Joe's at the tasting too. So enjoy your lighthearted, man. If
that wet beer.
Wet beer. If you want to hop on too, man, like let me know in chat or something and I can send you a link. This was all very last minute. The show only got organized yesterday. I only invited Tim and Brandon this afternoon. So by all means, if you want to hop on and share your thoughts too, man, you are more than welcome to send you a link. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the Hellesbach, Maybach, whichever way you want to refer to it, was my lowest scored beer. Most of my summation was low malt, low hop aroma, a hint of this, a hint of that, and like you guys said, it wasn't a bad beer. It just wasn't. If I was comparing it to other Hellesbachs, if anyone had a little bit more, it would have lost easily.
Well, I was panicking because I smelled that beer 50 times, and I was trying to get like hops or malt because I just had COVID, and so I was like, oh crap, am I not gonna be able to take this exam because I'm getting nothing from this beer? And then the next beer came out, and I was like, oh okay.
It really was like that for sure.
Yeah.
Matt Jaggers is in chat. Hey Matt, thanks for stopping in, man. Matt has his own YouTube channel too called Jaggers Brewing, so go check out Matt's channel. I know I say that every week, but he's a great guy, and he's on the board for the Master Homebrewers program too. So he puts in the effort there. So if you're not part of the Master Homebrewers program, look into joining that as well.
Yeah.
We had an episode with them a couple episodes back. If you want more information on that program. So boring Maybach. Belgian? Then I've been saying Belgian like every year.
That is, yeah. The next one's actually a dark mild.
I'm getting there.
But the one after that,
I think the dark mild may have been my second highest beer.
He did something pretty cool with that. He took a bunch of the B bottles from a recent local homebrew comp and mixed them together.
Mhm.
And it was a super good, well-rounded dark mild.
It really was.
They had everybody's kind of. It's like that if you're in Cub Scouts when you make that soup where you just put all the cans in and it ends up being grid.
Dump soup.
There you go. Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
I think so. Yeah, or stone soup. Maybe that's the.
Okay.
Who knows?
Yeah, it was the Celebrity Deathmatch homebrew competition, and Tom was saying that there were a ton of dark milds. That was like one of the maybe highest entered styles, because it was a restricted style competition, and so there were a lot of like low scoring, like low 30s dark milds, and a lot of like low 40s dark milds, and then there was everything in the middle. So he took everything that didn't go to like a mini best of show, but was still scoring well. And yeah, they just popped bottles, mixed them together in a pitcher, and maybe gave it a little swirl, and we got that in our cup. And it was really good. It was well balanced. Shows the power of blending, maybe.
I'll say that was fantastic.
I wonder how that beer would have competed, in the competition. To be honest,
I gave it a 40, so
I was up
I
there.
liked it. Yeah.
I'm glad you'd mentioned that. They did it all right there, because I was trying to work out like how did he blend it and then carbonate and rebottle it. Like that seems all right. That makes more sense. I'm tired.
If anyone's wondering how we know that, like they do, like they after going over the scores with the judges or proctors that it also scored the beers. Tom, lets us know what the beer was that came from the competition, or if it was something he blended.
There was a nice Q&A where we could talk to Tom
nice.
and talk to the judges and ask questions and stuff. And I don't know if that's something that happens after every tasting exam. I really hope so, because it was awesome. But a note out there for people that are putting on these tasting exams, if that's not something that you do, by all means, they ordered us some pizza and did a nice little recap. And if I was feeling better, I would have probably gathered even more value from it, but it was still really valuable. It was really awesome. And then the Belgian blonde.
Yep. And
Finally.
Crap, who brewed that one?
Jeff, I believe.
Yeah.
Jeff, and then they blended one bottle of a commercial in with it.
Leffa. Yep.
Leffa, yeah.
Yep.
I scored his beer. I scored that like a 42. It was or a 41, and I don't fucking like Belgians, but it just I was like, oh my god, this is so Belgian, it's so good. And they're like, yeah, bubblegum's not appropriate for this. And I was like, fuck.
That one was not boring at all.
So I think that maybe I'm not super I'm like learning all this stuff. Like after all the tastings ended and everybody was like, oh my god, that Belgian had so much bubblegum in it. Everybody was saying how much bubblegum that thing had in it, and I didn't catch a lick of it. So I'm wondering if that's not a flavor that I'm sensitive to or anything. That was one of my lowest beers. That was one of the beers I was way off of the judges from. I was down in the really low 30s, I think, if not in the high 20s for it, because I thought it was like less stringent and tasted oxidized, and there was something gritty to me about it. But again, maybe I was just sick too, so who knows?
Yeah.
And
my first note on aroma is strong bubblegum aroma.
Yeah.
I was, as soon as I put that up to my nose, I was like, oh, ooh, yeah. It was potent to me, and I like that flavor too. So that to me was maybe it was a little strong for a blonde, but it was still very tasty beer.
And that's the thing. If we would have been judging in a comp, I would have had the guidelines for Belgian blonde next to me just to double check. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It was just the wrong ester. It's a good ester. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just the wrong one.
Not to style. Yep.
Joe says he got straight juicy fruit. I'd click his comment. I'm pouring a beer right now.
See that?
I can do that. Oh,
that was me. Go for it. So yeah, like juicy fruit, like juicy fruit gum.
Yeah.
that's what I'm assuming.
So
the type of bubble gum.
Yeah, no, I could get that for sure. I get that flavor from nutmeg. I think sometimes I made
Bubble?
a nutmeg mead once, and I got like it tasted like straight juicy fruit for whatever reason. So that's kind of my association with with that
It's more
flavor.
like what the Hubba Bubba bubble tape, or like those old school, twisty wrapped bubble gums is
Yeah,
more like
yeah.
the bubble gum
Mhm.
flavor I get from it. But yeah, but I see where Joe's coming from there. Like that's what it reminds me of the most, is just the old school pink bubble gum. Mm-hmm.
Well, I wish I would have liked that beer as much. I think that was one of the nicer looking beers, though. I think that one was relatively clear, at least.
It
Maybe?
had hazy. I had some haziness in it. At least my
Okay.
notes say that.
Oh yeah, I
But
didn't
it
pull out
was
my sheets. I should do that.
Yep. It was a good looking beer, but it did have a haze. But that's it was all right. Yeah.
Let's see if I have these readily available here. I do. Okay. And then came the American IPA. So that was a funny one.
Tim, you're muted, by the way. Oh wait, I think I can unmute you.
There you go.
I can. Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
There were definitely some varying opinions going both directions with that beer, the American IPA.
Yeah, and that was done by a local brewing program, correct?
Yeah, like a college.
Yeah.
So it was relatively fresh, despite kind of the taste for me.
Yeah.
And I think that might have been a packaging issue, but he was looking for, I guess, like the oldest IPA that he could possibly find, and I don't think he was able to come up with anything. But Brandon, I think I remember you saying that it tasted like old Two Hearted.
Yeah, honey, I love you.
Yeah, it reminded me of like like either several months to a year old Two Hearted. So but then plus about 20% on the caramel malt. So like it definitely had a strong old school, like, late 90s, early 2000s American IPA feel to it. Yeah,
A throwback.
I liked it. Like nowadays I don't use anywhere near that amount of caramel malt, or if any. But it brought back some nostalgia memories of like Torpedo, or like one of those caramel heavy IPAs. Yep.
Right off the bat on that one, I smelled it, and it smelled like sherry to me. And so that was the one I was like, oh, this has been dosed. This is oxidized. And I boom, but I found it everywhere. So I think I poisoned the well, and then I found it. But then Sandy also thought it was like super oxidized too. So I didn't feel so bad about that.
Yeah, totally. It was missing. My notes say that it was missing a lot of those like malt backbone like flavors that needed to be there to back up how like monstrously hoppy it was, or like bitter it was. Like one of my biggest complaints or notes was that it was really kind of grassy and over bittered. So one of my recommendations was to dial back like the theoretical IBUs by like 20%. Because like it just tasted like there was a lot of hop material in there too, like polyphenolic. So that's kind of where my memory is at. But for sure, based on the smell, I think it was oxidized too. I think that's just a packaging thing, which doesn't surprise me coming from like anybody but like the biggest brewing programs probably.
Sure, I believe he said it was in a growler too. So I mean, just
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
growler
sure.
the night before.
Yeah.
It's gonna add some oxygen. Yeah.
Gail's chiming in too. She says, overall, the most important thing is what you said on your score sheet and how descriptive you were about the beer. It's not really so much about what any proctor said. So there's some peace of mind for you too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Gail's saying that caramel 60, which for sure
Yeah.
I 100% agree with. That's like
Yep.
that's that
Two Hearted is usually 40,
Yep.
and so that
Yep.
it's got that
Yeah.
it's got a little extra kick and a little
Yeah.
more darkness. Yeah.
Yep. And that last bastard beer.
The bastard beer. What? Okay.
Best blend.
And that was the best one, because when he's going over the briefing, Tom goes, okay, the Baltic Porter. was not a Baltic porter, and you hear like 15 people go, what the hell?
There was nobody, I think, that scored that below like 38, probably. And
I gave
as
it
far
a
as
42. I thought it was
the
great.
examinees
I gave
go,
it a
yeah.
42 as well.
I was a 42. Yeah. But it was a blend of a bunch of commercial Doppelbocks, if I remember right. Is that
And then
Said a
correct?
couple of Doppelbocks and then one like a stout or porter or something.
Schwarzbier.
Okay.
There,
The
there we go.
Schwarzbier. Okay,
Schwarzbier,
okay.
that's right. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't note this, and it came back to bite me on that. But like the entire time I was like actually drinking, and I'm like, this is so good, but it's lacking like that sort of like that like lager forward character
Mm-hmm.
that I would expect in it. But then I'm like, how many Baltic porters have I really had? Like maybe like I've had like the salted chocolate one from Bell's and like a couple homebrew examples. And I'm like, maybe it's just that there's so much dark malt in here that doesn't come through as much. And so I didn't even mention it. And it didn't even phase me that it couldn't have been a Baltic. So it was a really good beer.
I know. Like I would drink it right now.
I'll make fun of myself with my overall impression notes here. It's just the first sentence, anyways. An excellent Baltic porter with great caramel, slight toasty malts, and just a hint of roastiness.
Well, so I think that was it. Is that all the judges, all the proctors said that it wasn't intense enough on pretty much any front. So it was a really tasty beer. It just wasn't like what a Baltic porter needed to be as far as like punchiness goes. Which, just like every time you go and judge, this tasting exam too was a learning experience. The next time I go and I taste a Baltic porter, I now have a little bit of a better idea of what I should be tasting. And I judged Celebrity Deathmatch across from Gail, and we had really different scores on oh shoot, what was the beer? It was a lambic, I think, or not a lambic. It was something of that style. It wasn't a lambic because maybe it was a beer to guard. Shit, I can't remember. It was something that needed to be like really, really carbonated. Like Gail, like really, really wants them carbonated, to be stylistic. It wasn't a saison. For the life of me, I can't remember what it was. It was something in the sour beer ish category.
Okay.
And I learned, from that, like, what I should be looking for more, because she's drank a fuck ton more than I have of those. And so, now it's in my memory bank of like, I need to be, it was a goose. Thank you, Gail. You're right. It was a goose.
I love the fact that there's a beer called a goose.
Yeah.
Like I kind of want to make one and call it like my wife's goose. Maybe she made it. Maybe she helped me make it.
Yeah, it was a tasty beer, but it was not sparkly punchy. It was just sort of like carbonated, yeah. So it's permanent knowledge that's in my mind now. I'm telling the story because I remember it. It was a learning experience for me. So yeah, I'm taking that away from that Baltic porter at the end of the tasting exam too. So
yeah, my comments are also very embarrassing. So how am I going to read them?
Well, I'll read mine. You read yours.
Okay, I'll read mine. I got it right here. I really enjoyed this beer. You used a good selection of specialty malts to bring out complex flavors. Your restraint on the hops helped the malt to be the star. As it warms up, the malt adds a nice toffee flavor to merge with this dark fruit. I loved it.
Yeah. My very first two words were "so tasty!" Exclamation mark. The malty richness of this beer is quite nice, and makes the beer very fun to drink. So if I had to pick any nits about the beer, it would be that it's slightly too bitter. I said if the theoretical IBUs were dialed back like 5%, it would really increase the drinkability. But like, I mean, it was really, really good. It was a tasty beer.
So in the future, you know what to blend.
Well, after drinking that, Baltic Porter is on my short list right now to brew. You know what I mean? Like I have all these ingredients
100% me too.
to get. Oh, Gail is just showering us with nice things. You're a nice lady.
Gail says we all did a great job in the exam. She's very pleased to have been a pair with you all, and we're really really lucky to have you
Yes.
around us, Gail. So please keep teaching us and raising a new generation of beer judges to to take your place when you don't feel like chugging down 6 flights of beer in a weekend or something like that anymore.
Or just having other people to chug them down with you.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just want to also say, like, typically BJCP tasting exams are limited at 12, and they slid me in and someone else. They actually did 14 people, which is awesome that they're willing to kind of bend that rule, because I think hopefully BJCP understands that we need more people doing this. And the only way you're going to get more people doing this is if you make it easier for people to take tests. I'm not talking about easier to pass tests, but just make it easier for people to take tests. You know what I mean?
Tom really pushed for the extra 2 people, and it's not common, and he got pushback from it. And really the only reason that he was able to succeed in the end was because we had 3 Grandmaster judges as our proctors. So again, thank you to our proctors. But yeah, Tom fought for us, and he was like, listen, like, do you want more beer judges or not? Like
That's really what it comes down
we haven't had a
to.
tasting exam here in 7 years. Like, all I'm asking for is 2 more people, and we have a whole extra Grandmaster judge here. So
yeah, and next weekend there'll be 3 more unranked BJCP judges judging as Sicilianos. You know what I mean?
Woo!
So
Rank pending.
next weekend?
Rank pending. Sorry.
That's next weekend?
It is.
No,
What day?
that's 2 weekends.
Oh, no, 2 weeks.
Well, 2 weeks from this past weekend.
22nd.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
This weekend. Yeah, this weekend is the 15th. Next weekend is the 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah.
That vocabulary. Thank you. Yeah, I have to work this weekend a little bit, so I was going to be really sad.
You'd be all right. I love that Gail wrote pallets but spelled it Pilates with an exclamation point, just like Pilates. I love that. I look down there, I'm like, Pilates. Oh wait, pallets. I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were the 6 beers, and then we had the recap afterwards where we all got to ask questions and stuff. And one thing that I didn't do that I think maybe people that had experience taking the tasting exam before did is I saw a lot of people write down the styles and their scores on like a piece of scrap paper of like what they judge stuff, just so they could have it there for discussion later. So that's a really cool idea. Like, there's no like this isn't a really strict like exam, you guys. Like, it's not like you can't take extra notes for yourself and write down extra things on the side on scrap paper and stuff. The only restriction is that you can't bring in like external material to like look at while you're judging. You can write down all the extra stuff you want. So like, people are taking pictures of their sheets, I think, for like their own memory and stuff like that. It's totally fine, I think, unless somebody tells me otherwise, but I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Just don't pull up the BJCP guidelines on your phone. So.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that was done, after the fact, like as they were like being turned in with like Tom sitting there, watching them and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was a really, really good experience.
I thought it was less stressful taking the exam than to pass the online exam.
Yeah, totally. It was just like another judging
rushed.
session.
Even though I was worried I was going to feel rushed, it was definitely less rushed than taking the online exam.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't strict. It's not like they were setting people in cubicles or anything like that. Tim and I basically judged it across the table from each other. Joe and Brandon judge across the table from each other.
Yep. We did not talk though.
No
Which
talking.
in a real judging situation, it's not unacceptable to, compare points at the end.
I did apparently take a couple sips of beer and almost go back into the cup, but that wasn't because of that wasn't speaking of the quality of the beer. Hopefully,
yeah.
I wasn't trying to to trigger Tim into judging one way.
No, actually, hopefully they don't look at our scores together, because all I did was at the end I just went back and changed my score to yours and changed all my
Yeah,
numbers.
totally. Yeah.
Not true.
Hopefully it worked out.
But you do have you do have time at the end if you finish your last score sheet to go back and make sure that you checked all your boxes, like especially at the bottom of the score sheet where it's like this is an excellent example of the style, or this was a flawless beer, to get those check marks done, and to make sure that you numbered every beer correctly, and you circled your that you circled the beer and you put your like judging number on the score sheet and all that stuff. So
you added up your points correctly.
Yeah. Going back and doing the math is
After
important.
the fact, I had a big mistake on the first beer, because the way I kind of was judging was like I would like go through and I do all my comments. I did aroma and appearance. I scored those right away. But like the big three, I kind of was like, okay, this beer is like a low 30s to me, right? And so I would go through and like make sure the points kind of added up. But it had to make sense, right? So if I gave it a 10 out of 20 in flavor, it shouldn't be an 8 or a 9 in overall, right? And so I accidentally on the Kolsch, I think I gave it a 10 in flavor, and I gave it a 10 out of 10. Because I was trying to get the 33 to add up. And Tom sent us those sheets, and I was like, hey, buddy, do you think it's possible you could make that a 7 and maybe take a couple points off somewhere else? But I don't think he has that ability. So it's just like, whatever. It is one. Yeah. That's one sheet that I kind of screwed up, and that's okay.
And only one part of it.
It's not like you teach math or anything.
No, it added up to 33. Sorry. It added up to 33. It's just that it didn't make sense that I gave it an overall 10 out of 10 and then like knocked it everywhere else. It got 33 and I gave it 10 out of 10. I should have gave it like a 6, you know what I mean, for the overall, or a 7,
Yeah.
So
that is a good question down there from Gail.
Yeah, Gail with the good questions.
Yeah. Let's go through that while I'm gonna go grab another beer here real quick. But yeah, let's go through, see what you guys did to prepare.
I'm also gonna grab another beer. I'll be right back.
Well, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I was gonna say, not that we haven't heard my voice enough today, but we'll kick Tim out for a second too. So I have been I passed my online exam 14 months ago, I think. Longer ago than you did, Brandon. And I think maybe with COVID, they made some special exceptions, because normally you're supposed to take it within a year. And I was judging the Michigan Beer Cup with Sandy Cochran last year, and she was like, "Oh no, you take this exam. Like, Tom is doing this exam next year, and you're going to be there." And she's like, "I don't care. Like, if it's been like 14 months, like I will figure out a way to make an exception for you. It's fine." And I'm like, okay, like I emailed Tom like 2 weeks later. I'm like, I guess I have to be there. So, but ever since then, I've been trying to do score sheets on my own, timed, with my watch as a timer, for whatever beers I can get a hold of. And some weeks I'm better than others. And I'm always a little bit biased because I usually know like who the beer is from, or if it's a commercial beer, like, that I've had before, like what it's supposed to taste like and stuff like that. Sorry, Tim. But yeah, just trying to do sheets, and then timing myself, and then going back at that sheet and looking at it and being like, does this sheet make sense? Did I give like feedback on how to make this beer better if it needs to be better? Do my descriptors make sense? Did I use the word some at all, you know, like you don't want to use some, you want to state, you know, precisely how much of something has. Is it low, medium, high, moderate? Using those words, like you want to be very, very precise, and that was a big help. And then in the weeks leading up to tasting the beer, doing the tasting exam, I didn't do this nearly as much as I wanted to. And Tim found a nice flavor wheel to do this with too, and I have some that of my own. But I was writing down descriptor words on a notebook over and over again, just trying to like nail down words. Words are hard when you're in the heat of the moment. Like you smell and taste something, you're like, okay, I know that this should be familiar to me, but like, what is it? And if you have this like more of like a dictionary of words in your head of even the more common flavors, it maybe makes that easier. Like, okay, it tastes nutty, but like, what kind of nut? Does it taste like almond, hazelnut, peanut? Is it roasted peanut? Is it raw? You know, and things like that. And that's just stuff that comes with time, I think. There's only so much you can do studying that. I really think that going forward, we can still do better by like blind tasting things, like bringing some random things to a keepers meeting and putting them in a cup and being like, taste this. And, you know, people eat it and you don't know what you're eating. And then you're like, okay, that was like, you know, 80% dark cacao or something like that. Or like giving people like bits of prune and being like, okay, you know, that is, you know, that's what prune tastes like, and you know, things like that. So I probably didn't prep as hard as I could have, but I did do more like actual competition judging than probably some other tasters have when they've taken the tasting exam. So I feel like I did have that like in-person experience too, because I think that, so maybe Brandon, yeah, since you just had your very first judging at the Celebrity Deathmatch, like, did you feel nervous your very first time sitting down, like judging some of those beers? Like were you like writing slower than maybe you could have, or like finding trouble, like figuring out like the pattern or like the words or the way that you wanted to describe things?
I mean, I'd say it was unfamiliar to me. I wasn't really nervous, but if you can ask my wife, I don't get nervous very often, or like anxious too often,
Okay.
even about things that I probably should. Not to say that it never happens, but it used to happen all the time. But I guess I've just like shocked that out of my system a lot. So yeah, I didn't get too nervous. I mean, it definitely was a little like, you know, I was worried about not meeting my own expectations, or I wish there were like I think kind of like I said to you guys afterwards, I know that it's not set up that way, but I wish there was a way where you could communicate directly with somebody while doing it. So I probably should have done more. If I were to give anyone some advice, it would be to judge side by side with somebody who maybe has a little more experience than you, and then so you can compare on the fly. You know, afterwards is good too, but like even on the fly, I know the worry there is that you're going to suggest things, but especially if you're new to it, it's probably not a bad idea to bounce ideas on what these flavors are while you're tasting them at the same time. You know, with somebody who has some good experience and maybe has more authority on saying, you know, I get this, and then maybe that'll help you kind of tune your taste buds and, you know, be able to articulate on paper what you got going on there more. That's always what I'm worried about, is like a lot of times I know I like to use the phrase, you know, that tastes like this smells, you know, even though, you know, you're throwing in aroma and taste, but taste is mostly aroma, or a lot of aroma.
I get
So,
it. Yeah.
so I'll throw that out sometimes too when I'm explaining something. It's like, that's what it reminds me of. Yeah. So
It's good looking beer,
nervous,
Tim.
no, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's the hazy boy we brewed. So
Looks good, man.
it's I had one a couple days ago, and it was assertively bitter from the hot trube that I accidentally collected with my shitty stainless auto siphon. So it's already calmed down quite a bit. I imagine by the time the keepers meeting comes up, it's going to be fucking primo. So
Awesome.
it's the best IPA ever brewed. So it's really good.
Nice.
Awesome. You better bring some.
Yeah, for sure. If I don't drink it all.
Oh, you better save some.
Yeah.
I'm jealous, Brandon. I was very nervous my very first time judging, and I was told by the person that I judge across from that I needed to speed up a little bit, and I know it wasn't in a negative
Wow.
way, but it was like, I was like, oh God, okay. Like, I've gotten better since then, but yeah, I think that doing score sheets at home,
Yeah.
will make you quick at that. And Mike Neville and I had a quick discussion. Maybe he was talking to everybody. I can't remember. I'm fuzzy from that day, but he had mentioned that he sort of gets into a habit of writing things in the same order in every score sheet. Like, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like, if it keeps you on track, but like, observing what you smell or taste, and looking for off flavors and writing that down in that particular order, going back to those things as the beer warms up and writing down what at the end, at the very end, saying like thanks or cheers. At the very beginning, like being like, like a great example of the style that might need a few recipe tweaks, or like a reasonable attempt at this style that has a couple flaws that need to be addressed, or things like that.
Yeah, you don't want to discourage someone. You want them to keep brewing, right?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I've gotten a couple score sheets that were just super shitty, and often they come from professional brewers, not BJCP judges. So I'm not going to fault anybody in the BJCP program, but it's a talent to write a good score sheet, and one, not make somebody feel like shit about their beer, but two, give them feedback on how it actually needs to be better, because the first one requires practice, and the second one requires some sort of knowledge of experience of brewing, and the second one can be learned by books and stuff like that, or by being around enough home brewers and by tasting enough beer, but the first one is really practice, and it takes you kind of just need to be like not a jerk to begin with too, I think. So
you can be a jerk, just don't be a jerk to people.
Yeah.
So you guys are talking about how you prepared, right?
Yes. Go for it.
Brian did, yeah.
So no, you did too. You talked about it a little bit. So I was such a late addition that I didn't really have time to prepare for the tasting exam. I didn't pass the online exam until about a month ago. I was actually homesick with COVID and didn't know it. And I passed the online test. And then the very next weekend was supposed to be Celebrity Deathmatch, and I didn't get to go because I was sick. So that was going to be my next judging experience. I've judged one time. It was Celebrity Deathmatch 22, and I was supposed to be a steward.
Mm-hmm.
And they threw me in for a round of judging. And luckily, I was in like Kolsch's and the Czech premium lagers and things that I know a lot about, as a lager boy. So I felt comfortable there, and I actually felt really confident, especially after seeing other score sheets. So I think the fact that we're due comps, the fact that we throw beers into competitions and get score sheets back, we know what a shitty score sheet looks like. We know what a good score sheet looks like. We know what a medium score sheet looks like, right? So as long as you're looking at, as long as you're making sure when you're filling out that score sheet, I think about it as like, I am filling out this score sheet because someone who's like me, who's going to use this score sheet to hopefully make a better beer, or wants validation that they're making good beer, right? That's what I want in a score sheet. So that's what I did when I filled those out. And I remember we were on our way back from Deathmatch, and we were looking through score sheets, and we were like, holy shit, like, because I judged one of your beers, Brian, and you were like, oh, this is a great score sheet. And that like totally boosted my confidence. Like,
it was.
in it. And, like, I had a great experience. You remember me? I was so jazzed up. I ran a freaking judging workshop at a meeting like 2 months later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I was like, wow, this is really cool. I really like doing this, And so what really helped me, because when I was possibly, at the point when we brewed this beer 2 weeks ago, I wasn't even sure if I was, or 3 weeks ago, I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to take the tasting exam at that point, right? I was like an alternate. And we sat, I don't know if you talked about this or not, but when we were brewing that beer, the three of us sat down and judged 2 beers. And it was a great experience because I learned, like, we were all using a lot of the same descriptors. We were all on the same page on the beers. And I wasn't here, obviously I was getting a beer, but like I learned I was using like some and like not like specific descriptors like moderate, low, high, those kind of things. And so I broke that habit from judging on that table in the cold weather while our beers were brewing, you know.
Yeah.
And then I just, for the rest of that week, I just when I came home from work, I popped open a beer right after I got home from work, sat down with a sheet, and I judge it. And I did that about like 3 times. And I judged all my beers very well. Like my Czech Amber got like a 2. So, you know, I think
We all got 50s.
Yeah.
I think Brandon made a joke about that. Yeah, for somebody spent your own beers for NHC. But yeah, I thought it worked out well. And in the moment, at the tasting exam, I felt confident. I felt like I knew what I was doing. I didn't feel rushed. 15 minutes was plenty of time to say what I needed to say on the paper. It was really well done. And then after the briefing, I was like, oh, okay. All right. You're not as good as you think, which is good because this is our first time taking it, and we're all going to take it again, right? I mean, if Gail said there was one in 2024 early, we'll probably all take that one again, right? If we can, you know.
Unless we're, walking into it 95s or something. Yeah.
I'll probably be content for a while with, as long as I pass, I guess I'll say that much. As long as I can pass it and be certified,
70 is all that's required for certified.
Yeah.
So
but, we'll see. I liked I think even like I told you guys on the ride home, like I just taking the exam and just the time between celebrity deathmatch judging and taking the exam, my thoughts were, I definitely, I know I used some a few times on my score sheets there, and was like, gosh, I need to stop doing that. So I did try to at least beat it into my head to, use a more specific description like low, moderate, high, stuff like that.
And that,
so
that's how BJCP describes things, right? So it's good for us to use a lot of the same descriptors that the style guidelines do. You know?
I'm notoriously terrible for preparing for things, but I did at least try to throw in like looking at some of the different flavor wheels to try to remember descriptors. And I should have done some mock judging more than we did those ones on that brew day where you guys brewed the NEPA that you guys are drinking. But otherwise, I could have done some more preparation. But I don't know. I tend to do things like that. Just kind of go with things anyways, as long as I feel like I'm not gonna totally bomb it.
Well,
I'll
we were
try.
quizzing each other on the flavor wheel on the way up while Brian was taking a nap. So
yeah, that too.
I was dying. I'm sorry.
All right. We only stopped one time for you, buddy. One time.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Shayna says, congrats, guys. Super excited for you all. Thank you, Gail, for your insight. And we agree. Thank you, Gail. Love learning from you, and everybody should steward with me, says Shayna. And I totally agree. Like, and I learned a lot about stewarding because I hopped right into judging. I should have stewarded first, but I hopped right into judging. And I learned a lot about like stewarding experiences based on some of Shayna's experiences at Deathmatch. And she had a really awesome pair of judges in the afternoon. And Shayna, you'll have to remind me of their names. But they invited Shayna to sit down with them and shared some of the beer with her. And, as they were finishing up their sheets, like got her thoughts on the beer and were teaching her about things that they tasted in the beer so that she could learn about some of these things and practices for judging, like how they're even just like kind of like giving your the crook of your arm like a little bit of a sniff in between judging sessions just to kind of like reset your senses a little bit, like things like that, just like tips and tricks, and they weren't treating her like a server. They're treating her like somebody that wants to be involved in the BJCP, and I think that was really awesome. And I I'm taking that to heart. Whenever I judge from now on, I want to make sure that I'm treating my steward just as well as I treated her. So, yeah, I think that's super, super cool.
I cannot fathom the idea that like people think there's a dichotomy between like.
There's not. No, stewards are way more important than judges in those things.
No kidding.
Yeah, like
any judge that treats a steward like a servant, you should quit. We'll take over.
And Shayna's palate is way better than me. So I'm trying to get her into judging. Her biggest reservation right now is that she doesn't have the brewing experience that maybe some of us do. And so giving that objective like feedback at the end is a little bit tougher for her than it would be for us. But she's going to get into brewing some beer, with me soon. And we've done some mead together, and it's going to be awesome. And Mark, man,
Yeah, Mark.
Absolutely do. Yeah. Go steward, man. Like hopefully we're at some competitions that you're at. I hope this happens, but like if competitions fill up and they need stewards instead of judges, it's a chill, pretty fun job, and it's really important, and you learn a lot. You can taste way more beer as a steward than you do as a judge. And you don't have to fill out the score sheets and wreck your hand. So yeah, it's really, really fun. Super, super chill, and you get points for it. You get BJCP points for stewarding.
I think our wives should all brew a couple beers for MHF and get them on tap, and let's get that going. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Let's get these wives brewing. We already have the equipment.
Partners, not just wives.
Sorry, partners.
we have some women in the club that need to get their husbands going too. So yeah,
there we go.
No, 100%. It's a fun way to get involved with your significant other's hobby too.
Ex-wives too.
Yes, even your ex-wives. That's cool too.
Absolutely.
As long as you get along.
They get along great.
But yeah, I think that as I know from Shayna and as Gail and Sandy have shown, like, women have superior palates, like 100%. Like in my opinion, and we need to get more women involved in brewing and judging, like, for sure. Because the entire hobby is just going to be a better place because of it. Like the feedback that we're going to get is amazing. Like, I listen to podcasts, and every time there's like heads of like quality assurance and stuff like that, it's always a woman. Honestly, like, they're just the best tasters. Oh, Gail says Amy Richard was one of my awesome stewards, became a national judge, and is now a great brewer at Dogfish Lake. It's so freaking sweet.
That's amazing.
That'd be a cool job. Yeah.
Do you guys have ambitions of becoming like national ranked judges or higher?
I'm only 42. I got time.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to, I just want to improve my own skills. Like, I got plenty of room for improvement, and I plan to, I'll be happy just if I can get to certified to get some experience. And then, as I've got some experience, if it feels like something I want to do, that'd be like one of my plans. Obviously, depending on my score, and I probably have to retake it most likely, but for the tasting exam. But yeah, it's definitely in the wheelhouse of plans. I just need to better myself first.
The written exam is the next big challenge then.
Well, I know I was talking to Mike Neville, and he was taking the tasting exam again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got somebody to ban, Brian.
I can't ban on Twitch from here.
Wait, what?
Yeah, we got a bot from.
Oh, I see that.
So probably nobody's going to see that.
Dogehype.com. Yeah. Don't go there. I shouldn't have said it on
Sorry for interrupting you, Tim.
Yeah.
Neville took it. I think it was his third time he was taking it, and he was just trying to hedge his score up a little higher. I think he said he had 83 last time he took it.
Wow, great.
So he was trying to, or 87 or something. It was pretty good, but he was trying to get it up like above 90 so that because I believe your written and your tasting exam have to average out to a 80, right, to go national. Does that sound right?
Yeah, and it's like something like 90 for master and grandmaster.
Yes, I think he was like basically trying to bump up his tasting exam score a little higher, so that when he took the written exam for the first time, his threshold would be a little lower. So, which that's strategy, man.
Yeah, it's good.
Go type.
Oh, what else we got? That was the exam. That was all of our experiences. Did you have
What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, I was gonna say you have more questions, Jordan, like listening to all that.
Man, no, it's attainable. It seems attainable. Like you guys do a good job of like I don't know, like breaching some of those like maybe mental barriers that people might be building up themselves. For me, the big thing is just I got to set aside the time to actually prep, take the online test, and then plan forward from there. Like you had mentioned, like, oh, is it becoming a national judge or something like that? I'm just gonna pass tests first. I'll worry about the rest of that stuff later on. But yeah, I mean that's the first big hurdle for me is just making sure that I actually have the time or make the time rather to ensure that I'm putting myself back on that track. I've got at least a little bit of money invested into getting certified there, and maybe a little more than a little bit of money invested into the hobby in total. So let's keep pushing it.
Well, as Tim and SNL skits have taught me, get COVID. That'll give you time. COVID is the vacation you need.
Yeah. Honestly, what I really feel like helped me too with the online exam was I joined the Master Homebrewer program, and I am brewing styles all over the fucking place just to like get score sheets.
Yep.
And so like my wheelhouse on beer has expanded. Like basically I am super confident in everything except for maybe out of the 38 categories plus cider and mead. I'm pretty confident in all but maybe 5 right now. Like
that's good.
Man.
That's fantastic.
And it's like I get the Belgian and the Trappist and the strong Belgians confused, and I like some of those historical styles are like Pivo Group, whatever the fuck Gridsky or whatever it is. Like I've never even had it. Yeah. I don't know what it even tastes like. But like most of those beers, and come to homebrew meetings, Jordan, and you'll taste more of these beers, and you know what I mean. That's what I could say. You'll be all right. So you're a smart guy. You'll pass that shit. You got like an engineering degree or something, don't you?
Biomed, but
yeah, okay, but just
even better.
Well, next step is the tasting exam or the written exam. I'm sure at some point in time have a show on that. And we'll force Gail into organizing one for the Midwest here or something, and I'm sure it's going to take a lot of arm twisting to put that on.
I'll be honest, I'm probably 2 years away from a written exam. I need to judge a lot, you know what I mean? Like there's no point in taking it. I mean, how many points do you need to go national?
20
and
10 judging points,
and certified is 6, right?
Certified is 10, right?
10. So like I have
certified is 5.
Okay, I have 2 right now. So I mean I need
okay.
And that's if BJCP catches them from last year. So that's one of those things where I've got a lot of judging to do before I have to worry about that.
You'll be good. There's a slew of people in Michigan right now, up and coming, and hopefully it's like this around in the rest of the United States too. I know there's a whole group doing studying for an exam up in Grand Rapids right now. They meet like every other Tuesday, Wednesday, I think. So yeah, it'll be good. We have a good future in Michigan right now. Gail says 80 plus tasting and passing written with 80 plus for national, I think. Yeah.
Ooh.
Master's 90, right?
Master and Grandmaster, you have to have an 80 plus in tasting, and then a composite of 90 or better.
Yeah.
The composite being the average.
That's.
Yep.
Whew.
And you look at what like a good written exam, like essay question responses, and it's like it's you have to have some good knowledge. The nice thing is that they do give you sort of advanced knowledge as to what the questions will be or what the style comparisons can be. There's a lot of them, but you can study for them, and you can pre-write them if you take the time and study those and do them over and over and over again. It's just a lot of studying, or just a lot of being really smart. But that comes with studying too. Doesn't look like Jason made it on tonight. That's all right. We're coming up on 75 minutes. Oh, we're a little bit past 75 minutes, so we could probably start wrapping it up unless you have more questions, Jordan, or you guys have more feedback or whatever. Tim, I know you're up a little bit past.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't have to go to work tomorrow. I'm going to a conference. I just have to present in front of all the administrators and secondary ed teachers in the county tomorrow. No big deal. So
yes,
so,
NBD.
So we're
Yeah.
partying tonight. That's
I'm going to bed right after.
Yeah. Well, feel free to hang out, guys. Afterwards, we won't kick you out right away. For everybody else, to recap, I guess, take your online exam. It's probably harder than the tasting exam, to be quite honest. The tasting exam is fun. It requires, a little bit of knowledge on how to fill out a score sheet. There's a ton of videos out there on how to practice. I will create a post tomorrow with some of my favorite resources that I found while I was studying. Doing score sheets will help get that muscle memory going. It'll help get you, it'll help get a feel for like how timing works and how fast you can fill out a score sheet and stuff like that. Gail says keepers are really doing great, which we really appreciate.
We appreciate you, Gail.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Gail. Like thanks for being here for us. And really the entire state of Michigan is kicking ass right now, I think, and just in terms of clubs. If the Michigan Homebrew Festival is to say anything, which is coming up again the third week of August. So keep an eye out for that. I would be sad if I forgot to mention that the Michigan Beer Cup is coming up here soon. We are still struggling just a little bit with dates and locations, so please bear with us while we figure that out. Sponsorships opened up today. So if your business or your homebrew club or you personally or anybody else wants to sponsor a category for the Beer Cup, let us know. You can find information on how to contact us on our Facebook page or on our website, which I just put live again today. It's $50 to sponsor a category. This year, those sponsorships are going directly back to the winners of the competition. Every category is going to have a $50 gift card to Hopcraft Supply that will go to the gold medal winner of a category. So pretty freaking sweet.
That's awesome.
Entries are $10 this year. So if you max out your entries at 5 per brewer and you just take 1 gold, you get all your money back essentially. Plus whatever cool stuff happens,
Love it.
We have new medals coming. We just got our first draft of the medals today. Those are going to be sweet. We'll probably have something to share in about a week or so, would be my best guess. They're going to be big and heavy and awesome. So we're really excited about those. Everything is slower than we wanted it to right now. So really sorry about that, but we're going to make a big push here in the next coming months. So thanks for bearing with us. Then I think that's it. So we'll be back with episode 94 on the 24th, I think. Jordan, you're busy next week, so I think we're not doing anything next week.
Yep. No, I'm gonna be in Pittsburgh.
It's a good city. We were just there
Yeah.
last year for
Yep.
HomebrewCon. It was awesome. Go to the Condado Taco place downtown there. It was
I
Go to
will
the one in
awesome.
Kalamazoo now.
I don't know. Theirs is pretty awesome. I really
But
like
yes,
theirs.
while you're in
It was much
Pittsburgh.
more grungy.
I haven't been to the one here yet, so yeah.
Ours feels hipstery, and theirs felt like grungy and authentic.
Okay.
But they were both really good.
I'll try
Um,
both, and then I'll report back.
Please do. Yeah.
Shoot. If you're on the fence about judging, just try the exam sometime or do some stewarding.
Yeah, just come steward. Like if you have any hesitation about stewarding, just reach out to like me directly. Like find me on Facebook or reach out to like Michigan Brews like on Facebook, and like you don't have to, if it's just going to be you and you don't think you'll know anybody there, like let me know and I will be there and I will find you and I will hopefully introduce you to people if I know anybody there. If we don't know anybody there, we'll go be strangers ourselves. It's fine. Like whatever.
He will
Like,
find you. I've seen him do it.
Yes,
We'll find you.
come to
I will kill you.
Siciliano's.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's going to be a ton of people at Siciliano's this year that'll know each other, and you will not be a stranger after you leave. I promise.
Mhm.
So yeah, even if you just come to steward, by all means, get some free points towards your rank ups and stuff like
Go
that.
sign up on Reggie Beer.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I don't know if we have a episode 94 topic quite yet. We have a slew of stuff we want to talk about this year, so we'll figure something out. And
Likely a
guests and
few
such,
days
so.
before the show.
Yeah.
It's-
Well, at least we know it's happening on the 24th now. So
we can start the conversations now.
yes, we'll hold ourselves accountable now.
Yeah.
So Brandon, Tim, thank you guys for being here. Tim, especially, thank you for driving and
guys are
hauling me
awesome.
around a couple weeks ago. It was
No, it was good. That was my way of making sure I got home on time.
okay.
glad you're feeling better.
Freaking Kukuk wants to do a Lager Boys side comp between the Lager Boys. He wants to see who does the best.
Okay.
But, unfortunately, Danny, I don't think all of us threw lagers into that one. And
I threw no lagers.
lagers into that one.
I didn't either, unless you want to count my cream ale.
But I'll gladly compete.
I used
I
Lager
didn't.
East for one of them, but it's not a lager.
Thank you, Gail, for helping out with that exam. That was awesome.
Thank you,
Much
Gail.
appreciated. Thank you for
You're
sticking
awesome.
with us the entire hour and a half tonight.
Yeah,
There's a
no
lot
joke.
of mashers there too taking the test, so that was
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
Awesome.
Mashers are awesome. Their
Yep.
beer is amazing. All right,
Beers at MHF every year.
what kind of lager boys are we?
I just sent
The
5
worst
to
kind.
Lager Palooza. Thank you very much. 5 lagers and my wife's lagers. So that's 6. So I
Right.
did that one too. So
I technically have 3 lagers on tap right now, so that's not too bad. Okay.
I got 2 lagers in the dining room on tap. Danny Kukuk.
Can I consider a cider that I brewed with 3470 a lager?
Yep.
Fuck yeah, sure,
Sure.
absolutely.
All right, cool. Got that one.
Throw 1 grain in there real quick.
Yeah.
I guess since we do have people listening still, the Colorado State Fair opened today for registration. When I entered earlier, it was already a quarter full. So if you have any interest in that, it is on the Circuit of America. It's a master homebrewer competition. Go check that out. It's only 200
The third
entries.
full right now.
Okay, not bad.
73 paid entries out of 200.
Okay, so still
All right.
plenty of time. I am throwing a logger into there. I have a check dark on, so we'll see how that does there at least.
God, now I got to brew again. I haven't brewed. I've got my Scotch ale on tap, but that's about it. I'm trying to hold on to that for a little while, and now I got to figure out what kind of lager I want to make next. I don't
Check.
know. I'll figure it
I
out.
just did a check
Amber.
Amber, and I fucking love
Boom.
it. So
Yeah.
My box.
it's got
You run out of time for that though.
it's just got everything that's good in it.
Yep.
Check off in Colorado. Danny, what you got in Colorado? You got to check something in Colorado?
Probably does.
I have not meddled with like a regular quote unquote like beer in like forever. It feels like Rawak. Oh, dude, yeah, absolutely. Is that? Are you from Slack? Are
New
you from our
Zealand.
Slack channel? Yeah, I don't know.
That's YouTube.
There's somebody in a Slack channel I know that
Ah,
that really likes Rawaka and loggers. So we'll see.
Check Amber. He wants to check off of me.
Okay. I'll have a check dark I can send, so we can
Do it.
we can check
Go, Coop
check
Cup.
it off.
Coop Cuck.
check off then.
All right,
Right.
we'll call it
How many bottles do they require at Colorado?
3.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I know.
I
it's one
I
of
set up for
those.
2 real quick, but
Yeah. Okay,
I don't
I'll
know
do
what I'm gonna
two.
do.
Fuck it. Peer pressure.
Peer pressure, the best pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Peace.
Rawaka Lager Slut. That's who that is.
No.
I know you. I know you. All right. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. And yeah, we'll catch you guys later. Let's see if I remember how to like exit out here.
It's been a minute.
I know. All right. Peace.